Captain Ethan walked through the narrow corridors of the space station, his boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. The station floated quietly at the edge of a distant star system, a lone outpost in a vast expanse of black. Most days were uneventful, filled with routine maintenance and reports, but today felt different. There was a sense of anticipation in the recycled air. Something or someone had arrived. The station's communication panel crackled to life. "Captain, you have an incoming visitor from the council delegation," said Lieutenant Harris, her voice steady but tinged with curiosity. Ethan nodded. Visitors were rare this far out, and he knew they were usually here for serious reasons. Today, however, he couldn't shake the feeling that this visitor would not be ordinary. Moments later, the airlock hissed and a figure stepped into the docking bay. Ethan's eyes widened. Standing there was a young alien girl, unlike any species he had seen before. Her skin shimmered faintly, catching the dim light of the station, and her eyes were a deep reflective violet that seemed to look right into him. She moved gracefully, almost floating, yet her curiosity was obvious in the tilt of her head and the way she scanned the surroundings. Ethan approached cautiously. "Welcome to Station V14. I am Captain Ethan. Are you the delegation's envoy?" His voice was calm, professional, but inside he felt a surge of intrigue. The alien girl's lips curved slightly, a gesture that seemed like a smile. "I am Lysara," she said, her voice melodic, yet with tones unfamiliar to human ears. "I am here to learn about humans." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Learn about humans?" he asked, unsure whether to be amused or cautious. "Can you be more specific?" Lysara's gaze shifted to his hands, then to his face, and finally rested on his eyes. "About emotions, about connections, about love." Ethan blinked. He had expected diplomacy, trade talks, or perhaps cultural exchange, but not this. He swallowed, keeping his professional demeanor. "That is very broad. It might take time to explain." "I have time," Lysara said simply. Her tone had a quiet confidence that made Ethan pause. There was something in her presence, a mixture of innocence and curiosity, that made it hard to look away. "I wish to understand humans, to understand how you feel and how you express feelings for others." Ethan studied her. Her intent gaze, her delicate movements, and the way she seemed to absorb every detail around her made him realize she was not just visiting. She was here to observe, to learn, and perhaps to understand humanity in a way no other species had attempted. He felt a strange sense of responsibility. Teaching her would not be simple. It was not just about words or explanations. It was about guiding her through subtle gestures, emotions, and trust. "Very well," Ethan said. "We can start slowly. Humans express their feelings in many ways, through actions, words, and sometimes through closeness. But it will take patience." He motioned for her to follow him, and they walked toward the observation deck where the stars stretched endlessly in every direction. Here, the vastness of space seemed to mirror the complexity of emotions he was about to explain. Lysara floated close to him, her movements precise yet curious. "Why do humans smile when they are happy?" she asked. It was a simple question, but it carried layers of meaning. Ethan chuckled softly. Smiling is a way humans show joy, friendliness, or even affection. "It signals that we are open to connection." He paused. "It is not just a physical expression. It reflects what we feel inside." Lysara tilted her head. "And what about sadness, fear?" Her voice was calm, yet her violet eyes seemed to absorb every word with intensity. "Sadness is shown differently," Ethan explained. "Humans may frown, cry, or withdraw. Fear can cause hesitation or rapid movements. The key is understanding context. Emotions are not always shown the same way by everyone." He watched her carefully, noticing how she processed the information. Her alien mind clearly trying to map these behaviors into her own understanding. As the hours passed, Ethan introduced Lysara to more human expressions. He showed her gestures of comfort, a hand on the shoulder, a pat on the back. He explained acts of kindness like helping someone carry a heavy load or sharing food. Lysara observed silently, then tried to imitate them. Her first attempts were awkward but endearing. She tilted her head, extended a hand too slowly, then smiled. Ethan felt a warmth he hadn't expected. Teaching her was revealing the humanity he sometimes took for granted. "You are learning quickly," he said. "It is not easy to understand humans just by watching. You must feel the intent behind the actions." "I am trying," she replied softly. "I want to understand." I want to feel what humans feel." Her voice carried a hint of vulnerability, something that tugged at Ethan's heart. He realized that trust was forming between them, small but significant. Later, as the observation deck's lights dimmed and the stars outside glittered like distant jewels, Lysera floated closer. Ethan noticed the subtle changes in her posture. She mirrored his, yet not entirely. 'Twas as if she sought guidance, yet wished to maintain her own identity. "Captain Ethan," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "will you teach me how to make love human?" Ethan froze, taken aback by the directness of the question. He knew she was not speaking of physical intimacy in the way humans often thought. Her tone carried curiosity, innocence, and a desire to understand emotional connection. He took a deep breath, keeping his composure. This was not about inappropriate actions. It was about teaching trust, closeness, and emotional intimacy, the very core of human experience. "Lysera, teaching you is not about what you might think," he said carefully. "It is about trust, understanding, care, and respect. It is about how humans connect deeply with one another." He gestured to the stars. "We can start with simple things, sharing thoughts, understanding feelings, and learning to be present for someone." Lysera nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. I will understand." Her words were deliberate, showing determination. Ethan realized that she was ready to embark on a journey that would challenge both of them. He felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. For the rest of the evening, they sat together quietly, observing the stars and sharing stories. Ethan told her about his home planet, Earth, about the landscapes, the people, and the small moments of life that defined human existence. Lysera listened intently, asking questions about emotions humans felt in different situations. Sometimes she paused, trying to process the nuances, and Ethan patiently explained. Each moment was a small step in building trust and understanding. As the night deepened, Lysera's curiosity became more evident. She asked questions about friendship, loyalty, and love. Ethan answered honestly, emphasizing empathy, patience, and care. He realized that teaching her about humans was also teaching him about himself, about the emotions he sometimes ignored in the rush of duty and responsibility. Her presence reminded him of the beauty of connection, the importance of understanding, and the delicate balance of giving and receiving trust. Finally, Lysera floated closer once more, her violet eyes meeting his. "Captain Ethan, I feel different. I feel warmth. I think I understand. A little." Her words were simple, yet they carried profound meaning. She was beginning to grasp the essence of human emotion, the subtle power of connection, and the significance of trust. Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and amazement. "Yes, Lysera, you are beginning to understand. And this is only the start. There is much more to learn, much more to experience." He smiled gently. "But you are ready for the journey." As they parted for the night, Ethan felt a sense of anticipation. This was more than teaching an alien about human emotions. It was about forming a bond that could bridge worlds, a connection that transcended species, and a journey that would challenge both of them in ways they could not yet imagine. Lysera's curiosity, her innocence, and her desire to learn had opened a door to understanding, empathy, and perhaps a friendship that could change everything. And in the quiet of the station, with stars shining silently outside, Ethan knew that the adventure had only just begun. The station hummed softly as sunlight from the nearby star filtered through the reinforced windows. Captain Ethan moved through the corridors with purpose, his mind replaying the events of the previous night. Lysera's curiosity had been intense, almost overwhelming, yet fascinating. He knew that teaching her about human emotions would take time, patience, and care. But something about her presence made the work feel meaningful, almost personal. Lysera floated in the observation deck waiting. Her violet eyes brightened as Ethan entered. She had a notebook, though her species wrote in strange flowing symbols. Occasionally she would pause and look up as if searching his expressions for meaning. "Good morning, Lysera," Ethan said with a small smile. "Are you ready to continue learning today?" Lysera nodded, her head tilting slightly. "Yes, I want to understand more, to feel more." Ethan guided her to the training room, a place usually used for simulations and physical exercises. Today it would serve a different purpose. He wanted her to experience human connection in ways that words alone could not explain. Humans often learn feelings through shared experiences, Ethan explained. Not just words, but actions. Observing, helping, and trusting one another. Lysera's gaze followed him closely. Then, we will practice these experiences? Ethan nodded. Exactly. Trust is built slowly. We start with simple things. He handed her a small artificial plant. Care for this. Watch it grow. See how attention and patience change it. Lysera studied the plant carefully, her fingers hovering above the leaves. I do not fully understand how caring for a plant teaches about humans, she admitted softly. Caring for others, even something small, reflects empathy, Ethan said. Humans feel connected when they nurture. It is a lesson in patience, observation, and responsibility. For the next hour, Lysera tended the plant under Ethan's guidance. She adjusted its position for sunlight, watered it with precise measurements, and even spoke softly to it, a habit she had observed in humans. Ethan watched quietly, noting her dedication and curiosity. Slowly, the plant's leaves seemed to perk up and Lysera's expression softened. You are learning, Ethan said gently. See how your care affects something else? Humans experience this with each other too. Small gestures matter. Lysera nodded, a faint smile appearing. I understand a little. Actions create feelings. After the exercise, Ethan suggested a walk in the station's recreational area. Though small, the area was designed to simulate Earth-like landscapes, rocks, water features, and greenery. Lysera had never seen anything like it. She moved cautiously, observing each detail, touching leaves, feeling the texture of stones, and listening to the gentle trickle of water. This is very different from my world, she murmured. There is calmness here. It is peaceful. Yes, Ethan agreed. Humans often create spaces to feel peace, to connect with themselves and others. Feeling peace allows humans to open up emotionally. As they walked, Ethan shared small stories of his home, how he used to walk in parks, how families and friends spent time together, and how even small conversations could bring comfort. Lysera listened intently, asking questions about expressions, gestures, and the subtle ways humans conveyed care. You say humans touch to show care, she said, pointing to a small bridge over a stream. How do you know when it is appropriate? Ethan paused. Touch is meaningful. It must be gentle, respectful, and consensual. Humans learn when it is welcome through signals, words, gestures, or eye contact. Trust is important. Lysera processed this quietly, then gently touched Ethan's hand, not in a way that startled him, but as a test. Like this? She asked softly. Yes, Ethan replied, his tone steady but warm. Exactly like that. It shows trust and connection. Simple but powerful. The hours passed, and Ethan realized that Lysera was not just learning human behaviors. She was absorbing the emotions behind them. Her curiosity had shifted from observation to understanding, and her attempts at mimicry had become genuine expression. Suddenly, an alarm echoed through the station. The lights flickered and the walls vibrated slightly. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. The station's sensors had detected a rogue asteroid cluster heading toward their orbit. Lysera, we need to move, Ethan said quickly. Follow me and stay close. Lysera's eyes widened, but she nodded, trusting him instinctively. As they moved through the corridors, Ethan instructed her on safety procedures, showing her where to brace and how to communicate during emergencies. The asteroid field struck the station with force. Panels shook and alarms blared continuously. Crew members worked frantically to stabilize the station, but panic began to rise. Ethan stayed focused, moving with purpose and guiding Lysera through each step. Keep calm, he said firmly. We handle this together. Trust me. Lysera's small hand found his, squeezing lightly. Her grip was not out of fear, but trust. Ethan felt a deep sense of responsibility, knowing that she relied on him completely. Together, they moved through the chaos, ensuring each crew member was safe and that critical systems were stabilized. Hours later, the asteroid threat passed. The station had minor damage, but remained functional. Ethan leaned against a wall, exhausted but relieved. Lysera floated next to him, her violet eyes wide with awe and gratitude. You protected us, she said softly. I understand now. Human connection is not just words, it is action, trust, courage. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth that had little to do with relief and more with pride. Yes, Lysera. Humans show love and care not only through words but through actions, especially in difficult times. The day faded into night, and the station grew quiet once more. Ethan and Lysera returned to the observation deck, sitting side by side as they watched the distant stars. The experience of the asteroid field had bonded them in a way words could not capture. Trust had deepened, and Lysera's understanding of human emotions had grown. "You are changing," Ethan said gently, "not just learning. You are beginning to feel, not only understand." Lysera's eyes met his. Eyes feel warmth, courage, and connection. "It is human. I am learning." Ethan nodded, smiling. "Good, that is the next step. Feelings come with understanding. You now see the importance of actions, trust, and care, and this is only the beginning." They remained in silence, watching the stars and letting the lessons of the day settle. Lysera reached for Ethan's hand again, a gesture now familiar and comfortable. He held it, not as a teacher to a student, but as a companion in discovery. "Captain Ethan, will you continue teaching me?" she asked quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "I wish to understand everything about human connection." "Yes, Lysera," Ethan replied. "I will. We have a long journey ahead, and there is much to explore. Feelings, trust, care, even love. You are ready to take the next step." As they left the observation deck, the station lights dimmed to a soft glow, casting long shadows on the walls. Outside, the stars shone like distant promises, infinite and bright. For Ethan, teaching Lysera had become more than an assignment. It had become a mission of understanding, a journey of trust, and a shared exploration of what it truly meant to be human. Lysera floated beside him, her curiosity undimmed, her desire to learn stronger than ever. Ethan knew that the days ahead would be filled with challenges, lessons, and discoveries. But he also knew that together they could face anything. And in the quiet hum of the station, with the stars watching silently, a human and an alien had begun a journey. Not just of learning, but of connection, trust, and the shared beauty of understanding each other's hearts. The space station was quiet in the early hours, the emergency alarms long silenced. Captain Ethan walked through the corridors, checking systems and ensuring that all crew members were safe. The asteroid threat had passed, but the lingering tension reminded everyone how fragile life could be in the vastness of space. Yet for Ethan, another thought occupied his mind, the alien girl, Lysera, who had grown from curious observer to trusted companion. Lysera floated in the observation deck, her violet eyes scanning the stars outside. The events of the previous day had changed something in her. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and danger alongside humans, and now she carried a new understanding, not just of actions, but of the emotions behind them. Ethan entered the room quietly. "Good morning, Lysera," he said softly. "I hope you slept well." Lysera turned to him, a small smile on her lips. "I did, and I dreamt of stars, of worlds beyond this station, and of humans." Her voice held a warmth that had not been there before, a reflection of the trust and connection she had built. "Dreams can teach us too," Ethan replied. "They are often reflections of what we feel, not just what we see." They moved to the training area, where Ethan had planned the next part of her learning. Today's lesson would be deeper, more personal. He wanted Lysera to understand the essence of human connection. Not only trust and care, but empathy, courage, and shared experience. "Lysera," he began, "yesterday you learned about trust through action. Today we explore emotional courage. Humans show courage not just in battle, but in moments where they risk themselves to protect or help others. It is an expression of care, a bond between people." Lysera listened carefully, absorbing every word. "I wish to learn this courage, to understand how humans feel in these moments." Ethan nodded. "Then we practice. I will simulate a scenario where you must make decisions that affect others. You will need to think beyond logic, beyond instinct. You will need to feel the connection and act with empathy." The simulation room flickered to life, showing a holographic projection of a damaged cargo vessel drifting near the station. Crew members were trapped inside. The system simulated gravity fluctuations, power failures, and debris blocking access. Lysera's eyes widened at the complexity, but she remained focused. "You must guide them to safety," Ethan instructed. "Every decision affects lives. Use your understanding of care and trust." Lysera nodded, and they began. She moved methodically, directing the virtual crew, adjusting paths, and anticipating obstacles. At first she hesitated, unsure whether her choices were correct. But gradually her confidence grew. She made decisions not solely based on logic, but on what she felt was right. Ethan observed silently. Impressed. You see, Lysera, courage comes from understanding and caring. When you truly value others, your actions carry meaning beyond survival. Humans feel this, and it strengthens bonds. The simulation concluded successfully. Lysera's eyes shone with triumph. I'd understand. It is not only action, but intention. Caring gives courage meaning. Yes, Ethan said, smiling. And it is something humans learn over a lifetime, but you are grasping it quickly. After the simulation, they moved to the observation deck. The station was calm, and the stars outside reflected like silver on dark water. Ethan and Lysera sat together, the silence between them comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. You are changing, Ethan said softly. Not just in knowledge, but in how you perceive and feel. You are beginning to understand humans fully in ways most cannot. Lysera tilted her head. I feel connected. I feel trust, warmth, courage, and hope, all these feelings I did not know before. I am grateful to you, Ethan. Ethan felt a warmth spread through his chest. Teaching her had become more than a duty. It was a journey of discovery for both of them. He realized that Lysera's curiosity had opened doors in his own heart, reminding him of the importance of empathy, patience, and emotional connection. A sudden alert blinked on the console, drawing their attention. A small shuttle was drifting dangerously close to the station's hull. Ethan stood quickly. Lysera, we need to act. This is real. Her violet eyes widened, but she floated closer, ready to assist. Together, they moved to the docking bay. Ethan coordinated with the crew, while Lysera followed his instructions flawlessly, guiding and supporting in ways that showed understanding beyond her years. The shuttle collided lightly with the station, but thanks to their efforts, it was stabilized. Inside, the pilot was shaken but unharmed. Ethan helped guide him out safely. Lysera assisted, ensuring the pilot felt secure and cared for. You see, Ethan said after the crisis, human connection is tested in moments like this. Trust, courage, empathy, they are all needed to guide action. You handled this well. Lysera looked at him, her expression a mixture of pride and relief. I felt everything. Fear, care, hope. I understand more than before. This is human. They returned to the observation deck, sitting in quiet reflection. Ethan felt that their bond had reached a new level. No longer teacher and student, but companions, united by shared experience and understanding. You have learned much, Lysera, Ethan said softly. And yet there is more. Humans express connection through shared dreams, memories, and support. These are things you must continue to experience and understand. Lysera nodded. I wish him to continue. To understand everything, I trust. You will guide me. Ethan smiled. I will. Together we will explore human connection in all its forms. Friendship, care, trust, courage, and even love. You are ready for the journey. Over the following days, they spent time exploring the station, sharing stories, helping crew members, and observing human interactions. Lysera became more comfortable expressing emotions. She laughed, she comforted. She shared small gestures of care. Each act reinforced her understanding and deepened the trust between her and Ethan. One evening, as the station rotated to face the distant star, casting long shadows across the observation deck, Lysera floated closer. Captain Ethan. I think I understand now, she said softly. Not only the actions, but the feelings behind them. Connection, trust, care, love. I see now why humans value these things. Ethan's heart warmed. Yes, Lysera. That is the essence of being human. Understanding and sharing feelings, caring for others, and being brave enough to show your heart. For a moment, they simply sat together, the hum of the station surrounding them, the distant stars shimmering like diamonds. Ethan realized that teaching Lysera had been a journey not just for her, but for him as well. He had learned patience, empathy, and the power of emotional connection through guiding her. You are remarkable, Lysera, Ethan said gently. Not because you are alien, but because you are learning to embrace humanity in all its complexity. You have courage, empathy, and understanding. You have the heart of a human now. Lysera smiled, a soft glow in her violet eyes. And you taught me. You showed me what it means to be human. I am grateful, more than words can express. Ethan reached out and took her hand, holding it gently. Our journey does not end here. There will be more challenges, more lessons, and more discoveries. But whatever comes, we face it together. She nodded, squeezing his hand lightly. Together? I understand, we are connected. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Lysara's curiosity had sparked a bond that went beyond species, beyond worlds. They had learned from each other, grown together, and discovered that the heart, human or alien, could bridge even the vastest distances. And in that quiet moment, with the universe spread before them, Ethan and Lysara shared a simple, profound truth. Understanding, trust, and care could create a connection stronger than anything else in the cosmos. The journey that began with curiosity had led to friendship, understanding, and the promise of shared adventures. Lysara's voice broke the silence, soft but full of wonder. Captain Ethan, will you continue teaching me? Ethan smiled, gazing at the stars. Yes, Lysara, always. There is much more to explore, and we will discover it together. Human connection, and all it can teach us, will guide the way. Lysara's smile reflected the starlight. She understood, truly and deeply, the beauty of human emotions, and together they looked toward the infinite universe, ready for whatever the future would bring, side by side, heart to heart, connected across worlds.